Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Orlando, and before we jump into this, I want you to make sure you hit that subscribe button, also hit that like button, and also hit that notification button. So when I release videos like this, that you will be notified ASAP. It really helps my channel out, and I really appreciate the support. But let's jump into today's video. Today's video, I'm going to be going over I don't know if you guys been watching, YouTube and watching the internet. There's been a scam that's been going on. Depends on what you calling a scam. But to me, it's just when you're leading people down a path that you will not be able to fulfill your promises that you've made to those individuals. But what I'm talking about is the Jay Morrison situation. When I very first saw the Jay Morrison, the Tulsa Fund, I automatically knew, just from my knowledge, my experience that I've had in the past, it was a stay away scenario. Just stay away. I've had people come to me and ask me, hey, I was thinking about investing into this, and what do you think? And I have just told people to stay away from it, to run from it, because of all of the flags, the red flags that I've saw in the initial offering, that I saw from the offer was built. And just in the big scheme of things, it just really sounded kind of like iffy, like if you were going to really get your money back or if you were going to even make a return on it. I basically want to explain in a way that everybody can understand. And I wasn't at first going to do this video, but then I thought to myself, this is a teachable moment. Everything's happening to this guy. Everybody's calling him out. Everybody wants their money. People are saying, you scammed me out of my money and I want it. And I just want to be able to explain the red flags that most people should have had, so that in the future, maybe most people won't get caught in this situation. But I just want to kind of break exactly down what I looked at and what made me stay away. Okay, so let's just talk about when you're building a Reg D. And by the way, let me just kind of explain my background on that before I get started. My background is financing. I do financing for real estate. I have my accounting degree. I've actually done Reg Ds before, and I know exactly how to build this type of fund and what are the things that you want to do to make things work in this. I am not soliciting anyone to invest or anything like that. I don't even have a fund to invest in or anything like that. So it's not a situation where I'm trying to, pull anybody to my side or anything like that. I just want to give you my views on what you should look at, that if you want to invest in a fund, that you can invest and feel a little bit better about the way that you go about, kind of underwriting and doing your due diligence on individuals. So let's go about the first thing. The first thing that I saw on the Jay Morrison Tulsa Fund website was I looked up to see who was the team. Who is the team that will be managing the fund, that will be doing the accounting, who will be doing the property management, who is the whole team, right? And if I was going to create a fund, I would always list who's going to be in what role, and it would be public. If not public, it would be very easily listed to everybody who's an investor. But I think the best way of going about that is to be public with it. If you're going to ask for money from the public, then you should publicly, the people should be able to see who is going to be running the fund, right? So you need to make sure you list who your accountant is. You need to list to make sure who is going to be handling all of the paperwork being sent to individuals. You need to list who's going to be the property management. And the thing about this is you do not have to have all of this stuff in-house. You can actually hire people to handle this for you, right? So if you're going to have a $10 million fund and you've don't want to hire all of these individuals, right, to do each of these tasks, then you would go out and hire a property manager. You would go hire a lawyer. You would go hire an accountant. You would list those companies or those individuals as the people who are going to handle those tasks. And then you wouldn't have any issue as far as saying this wasn't handled right or that is not handled right. And then it also makes your investors feel warm inside and so that they understand and they know, look, this firm that has, 80 accountants in it is handling our fund. This property management team who has all of this experience is going to handle all of our property management. Jay Morrison may have been the front guy who's actually bringing in the money, or being the salesperson who's bringing all the money in, which is fine, but having a team and showing who that team is very, very, very important. And by far, if you can't show me your team, I automatically don't trust you. And that's one way that you can kind of look at it. So secondly, it's the amount of money that Jay Morrison is asking for. So Jay Morrison has about 12,500 investors, right? That's what the estimate is. It may not be exact, but that's just an estimate, right? So he has that amount of investors. And this is abnormal because, you know, anybody who's doing a syndication deal does not ask for a minimum of $500. Normally, it's between $25,000 to $100,000 that they're asking for. And why is that? It's because you want to limit the amount of individuals coming into your fund. Nobody wants to manage 12,500 people. I don't. That's insane. Can you imagine sending out that many reports to individuals on the fund? Can you imagine sending that quarterly to every investor? You made this amount of money, this, or based on this quarter, this how much money you would be making annually. You have to follow up with each of these individuals through email. You have to follow up with them through mail. Like, you just have to keep in contact with them. And not only that, but they will keep in contact with you. They will email you. They will call you. You just have to have a big team to deal with that many people. There is no way you want to deal with that many people by yourself or have a small team. You need an army to deal with that many people and to deal with the amount of paperwork you did. It is a nightmare, guys, I'm telling you. And that right there is a red flag. Someone who's taking $500 per person, that is enough money for that people will forget and say, you know what? I gave this guy $500 and you know what? I really don't need it. It's just $500. It's $500 I gave him and I can forget about it. That's the reason why he chose $500. That is the reason I assume he chose $500. You know, he chose $500 because he knew that individuals would be able to forget about that. That is something that you think to yourself, hey, I just learned a lesson, a $500 lesson. And then you kind of move on if you got scammed out of it. And that right there is a nightmare, guys, a nightmare. Okay, so we're gonna go on to the third and last. It's character. You look around and you've seen the interviews, you've seen all of the people pop up, you've even seen some of the things that come up. A lot of the times, people will just kind of push that underneath the rug, sweep that underneath the rug, and say to themselves, you know what? Those people coming out of the woodwork are jealous. They're jealous of Jay, and they're just coming after him because, you know, they want to be him or they want to be there. Or, you know, there are so many reasons, and I get it. Can that be true? Of course it can. But when you line up all of these things in that order, in the order that I've given you, and character is the last thing that you're going to, you know, you're going to judge someone on, right? Which, in my opinion, I judge that be the first thing. But let's just say that you are willing to give Jay Morrison 2, 3, 4, 5 times chances, right? You're willing to give him that many chances. Okay, you go through the list and you go, okay, you don't even show who your team is. You're taking such a low amount of money, $500 per person. That's another red flag. How are you gonna work? How are you gonna deal with all of those invoices and quarterly statements? How are you gonna deal with that? And you don't know. And then you see him on TV or you hear things coming on. He's not even on TV. You just see him online driving around in a Benz or Maybach and all this other stuff, right? You see him doing all of this stuff, all of the flashy stuff, which is another red flag. Someone who's extremely flashy, you kind of think to yourself, okay, well, if he's super flashy and doing all of this other stuff, is he doing that with my money? That's the reason why fund managers and guys who are doing syndication, they don't do that. That is a red flag. If someone is going around driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis and they're taking money from other people and saying that they're investing, they're using it to invest, what do you think happens in those scenarios? Most case scenarios, I don't know if you guys seen American Greed, in most situations, it ends up bad. If you're looking to invest or you're looking to do anything with your money, right? One thing that you need to do is you need to look at all of these things. You need to look at the person's character. You need to look at the person's track record. You need to make sure they have a great team around them. And I'm not just saying someone telling you to have a great team. They need to show you who their team members are. And these individuals need to be able to easily be able to be contacted, addresses, companies. You should be able to see their background, all of those things, right? It should be easy to find. You shouldn't have to dig for it. You shouldn't have to act like a crazy ex-girlfriend or something like that and search the internet to find out who the accountant is for the fund that you're investing in. You shouldn't. And then, like I said, just use common sense when it comes to the amount of work that you think it's going to take for someone to manage someone who takes that small of amount of investments. You know, some of the stuff that he was doing is just, it's mind-boggling to me. And I understand, like I said, I've been in the industry for a long time in financing. So for me, it's easy to point out. Someone who doesn't really know financing, it may be hard to define these things, but that's the reason why I'm making this video, so that I can educate people and let them know that, look, you can go 1, 2, 3. And if these 3 things don't line up, don't invest. This is not a FOMO situation where you think you will miss out on something. Do not invest. And then lastly, what's the #1 rule for investing? Never invest if you're not willing to lose it. And that applies to this situation, even though, quote unquote, you're hearing things about him scamming people. You know, when you read the documentation literally says that he can basically take the money, do what he wants with it, and he doesn't have to pay it back. He can lose money on this fund and no one sees a dime of it. Now, I can guarantee you people didn't read the long, complicated legal document that is entrenched in his website and that you probably had to sign an initial before you did anything, right? It's in there. And so long story short, everything he's doing is legal. So in a sense, it's not a scam, right? He's doing everything legal. It's just immoral, right? You just don't take people's money, run away with it, and promise them the sky and the moon and tell them they're gonna get 8% back and then just disappear on them. You don't do that. You don't do that. And that's the lesson here, guys, is that just be careful out here when you're investing your money. Invest in people that you trust, that you have contact information on, that you can go through the list of things that would normally worry you or that I just spoke about, and they pass all of those tests, okay? So once again, guys, if you got value out of this video, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, and also hit that like button because it always helps my channel, guys. And I appreciate the support, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.